So, hello everybody, our listeners or viewers. Today we have a dear friend of mine in our podcast. He's a wonderful man. He's warm-hearted. He's, I don't know, sometimes I feel he's too good to be true. He's an international psychic medium. He's a spiritual teacher. And he calls himself also creative. And he has a deep passion for assisting fellow seekers, uncovering their intuitive potential and deepen the quality of their spiritual experiences. He is originally born in South Africa, but we will do this in English, of course. And his extensive travels have now based him in the UK, where he teaches students up from beginners to professionals, and he learns people how to cultivate a more intimate relationship with their intuitive abilities and their own connection with the spirit world, right? He has studied at the Arthur Findlay College, the College of Psychic Studies, and Tony Stockwell's Soul Space. He has furthered his knowledge with ambassadors like, we all know him, Gordon Smith, Lisa Williams, Tony Stockwell, and many, many more. He likes to continue his spiritual journey with the knowledge and the experience he has gained, but most of all, his passion for working with spirit and the spirit world. Please welcome Tyrone Cusack.
Bless you, guys.
Tyrone.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. How
so
are
wonderful.
you?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Good, good.
That was a fantastic introduction, I must just say. Like, usually when you hop on these things, you're always feeling somewhat nervous, but you certainly have this wonderful energy about you to make your guests feel very, very warm and welcomed and comfortable. So thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. But you know, you are very welcome, of course.
Thank you.
Now, Tyrone, or shall we say, like we normally do if we meet each other, Ty.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tell our listeners, who are you?
Well, I think you've given me a really good introduction there.
Who is Tyrone really? Who is
the essence of Tyrone? For me, I think I'm like most people, sort of just navigating through the adventures of life and trying to find out more about myself, more about my intuitive abilities, and more about the spirit world. And I think I've been very, very fortunate enough to attend some really, really good training courses and institutions, and connect with a lot of individuals who are looking and on the same quest to try and find out more about themselves in search of healing, guidance, comfort, clarity, and unfolding more meaning to their life, which is where I came across meeting you as well. You know, we're all on our individual quests, meeting at the College of Psychic Studies. And it's just so fascinating for me how you come across these wonderful individuals and synchronistic events that kind of put you at the right place to unfold and discover a little bit more about yourself. So like you said, the passion for me is really helping others connect with their intuition and connect more so in deepening the intimate relationship that we do have with the spirit world. And just sort of expanding on that a little bit more, because I think we only really look for meaning in times of difficulties or when certain events have transpired. And I think it's so wonderful nowadays, especially in this modern age, that there's more people sort of awakening to their communication with spirit, communication with themselves on a deeper soul level, and really starting to honor what their soul is telling them in terms of their soul's pursuit, rather than just going by life, doing things, ticking boxes, like many of us have all done at some point in our lives, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, dear listeners, I think you already have a good feeling what a wonderful person Tyrone is.
We
Now
try.
we
You've caught me
try.
on a good day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, every time I met you live, you were on a good day. I mean,
You're very kind,
now,
Guy.
Tyrone, I know we studied and trained together at the College of Psychic Studies with Gordon Smith about mediumship, right? And as far as I know about you, that's also your main part, that you're walking on mediumship and helping other people to, evolve,
Absolutely. Yeah.
train, get more awareness about mediumship. But can we also say that while we are doing mediumship, even though it's just for ourselves or towards others, that we also give some kind of healing to people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when you start to explore the sort of the different spiritual modalities available to us, whether it's sort of enhancing your intuition or developing your mediumistic abilities or exploring the many different shapes and forms of healing work, there is always healing involved in that. And I think we as individuals in our human existence, we have certain experiences that we go through in life that offer us a pinnacle point for us to either ignore the lessons that are taking place or allowing ourselves to hold space to integrate that healing. And I think people, it's quite easy for us to gravitate towards like a excuse me, a quick fix or instant gratification to kind of quickly solve a solution. And I think we also sometimes can be under the misconception that healing is kind of like, okay, I've healed this and that's done. Whereas healing is a lifelong journey. I mean, you know this as well as I do. We're constantly healing, we're constantly evolving. Where you thought you were going sometimes doesn't work out. So you've got to heal that aspect of yourself. You come into contact with different people for a certain reason. You take that job that you didn't think that you were going to get for a reason. All these culminating events sort of aid us in exploring more about ourselves, bolstering our skill sets or learning new skills, and opening the space for healing to sort of get to our best selves, essentially. Or that's just my take on it.
I think that's a view that a lot of mediums are carrying with them also. Otherwise, also a lot of healers are considering medium also as a part of the process that they give to people to heal.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, you know as well, being a facilitator that you are, the more that you can allow in doing the work that we do, the more that you can allow yourself to move into that space and process that healing allows you to become a clearer channel, not only for spirit, but also for your intuition, for healing energy. And it just deepens the connection to your own sort of soul purpose in terms of what you sort of come here to experience and explore and unfold. And I mean, if we know anything now, things change so quickly. So those things are unfolding at a faster pace. I think so now more than you would say a couple of years ago. So we really have a plethora of opportunities to step into that space of spiritual growth, spiritual expansion. And for any of the listeners that sort of are listening and watching, I mean, the best advice I can give you is like, if you're looking to sort of step into that space, do the meditations, do your yoga practice, do what makes your soul sing, journal, write down what you're getting so you can actually acknowledge what you are experiencing. So you actually have, when you write something down, you make it real. Yeah. So you've sort of created a snapshot in time for you to actually process that, because sometimes we don't necessarily, if you haven't been able to cultivate the ability to easily reflect or identify certain areas or patterns that are repeating in your life, getting it onto paper helps you sort of, it becomes real. It's like, okay, I was feeling this at this point because of this. What can I do to make that change? And I think that applies to not only whether you're a psychic or a medium or a healer. That starts to develop your craft. It develops your skill set. It develops your connection to spirit. So you can become a clearer channel to unfold these things. And you know, whenever you have a healing session or whatever services you're providing, each client is different and unique. And for me, being the reader, there's always wonderful themes from spirit that seem to come through, like whether it's a week or however many bookings you've got in the day. There's always a wonderful theme that's interwoven there for me as the reader to be able to learn from and try and apply in my own life. I always laugh because there's always subtle nuances where I'm like, okay, spirit, thank you.
I know.
I need to apply that to my own life. I know, and I think this is it. Is there's a difference between, you know, doing the courses, reading the books, and sort of learning about these things and learning about the wisdom is one thing, but then there's living the wisdom as well. So it's like, you know, buying the crystals, buying the oracle decks and stuff is great, but if it's just going to sit on the shelf or become a facade to show others that you're spiritual, you're not really helping yourself. Like, do the work, live the wisdom, you know, because that's where the gems hide, you know.
Yeah,
the treasures of life.
You already took 3 questions that I had in my head.
Sorry, you set me up wonderfully there. It was just as it was flowing, it just.
Of course, don't worry about it. I have plenty. Not anyway. No, that's why I know that during the years we all start as a student, of course, we keep maintaining that level of student in our whole life, during our whole life, until
100%.
the last day. We learn, we evolve, we grow, you know. But at a certain point in our life, there's also that vibration of becoming a teacher.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you did. We all start as a student, of course.
100%.
But you have evolved to become a teacher. So you teach people now, you know, about mediumship, about spirituality and everything. But I do remember one thing, you know, we studied, I think, about a year and a half together with Gordon.
Actually, you're right.
Plus minus. And he always said, you have to leave everybody in his or her own individuality, because we all have our own unique way of working. Is that something that you help people with also, to find their uniqueness?
100%. I think, you know what, well, firstly, on what you were saying, we are always students in life. Like, even for me now, I find that when I'm teaching, I'm learning, and I still attend other courses and workshops, because I feel that there's always more areas that you can expand on or fine tune. Because like anything in life, you know, when we sort of go and start doing things, we do sometimes slip into a pattern of comfortability. So it's good to be able to push yourself out into, you know, exploring different avenues and hear other people's opinions and takes on it. And I think that's exactly what applies to discovering your own individuality within your work, is because I feel that in this nature, there is always a lot that you can learn, but there's a natural ability that you have. There's a nuance that you have that nobody else has. It's like the same for if somebody's trying to write a book. There's that saying, yes, okay, maybe I'm fearful of writing a book or this, but no one's written that. You haven't written that book. So you've got a different take, a different perspective on how you perceive, how you articulate what you're busy receiving, and how spirit connects with you as well, speaking purely from a mediumistic perspective. But it's really about sort of learning what you can from somebody else, and then finding a way that you can apply that in your own unique style and what feels comfortable for you. Because, I mean, you know as well, attending all these different workshops, the teachings are great, but some teachings just don't resonate with you, and that's okay. But it's important for you to at least sort of explore that as an option or possibility, because it could very well be an avenue that just expands your repertoire or your natural talents in ways that you might not have thought, you know.
Of course, yeah. It's also that's something I say to people when they come and ask me, like, you said I'm opening up, you know, and you're helping me in my opening up in spirituality, and can you tell me which workshop I should take on or whatever? And then I always say, like, I always say 2 things. I always say, like, well, It's the one that feels good for you.
Yeah.
Feel, don't think.
Yeah.
Feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel, drop into that heart space and feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second thing I always tell them is a little story. It's not a bedtime story. It's just a story where once I attended a workshop, and it was a whole weekend. Bit of money it costed.
As some of them do, yeah.
As some of them
As some of them do.
Of course. And the first day I was sitting there, and the whole day, it was quite interesting. Fine. Nice teacher, interesting, because sometimes you have boring people, they just.
It can be so sometimes, yeah. It can
But,
be so.
interesting teacher. He kept the attention good, warm. But I was sitting there like, Jesus, what am I doing here? What did I spend my money on?
Yeah.
So next day I come in and I started again with that feeling like, oh, I made a mistake. Well, anyway, we'll see. I mean, something good will come out of it. And if not, hey, it was a fun time.
Chalk it up to experience, yeah.
With my co-students, the teacher and everything. Tyrone, in the afternoon, we did a 1 hour exercise. And after that exercise, my first thought was, now I know why I had to be here, why I paid the money, and why I spent 2 days here. I had 1 hour in 2 days.
Wow.
And that was for me the ultimate benefit of that workshop. All the rest was nice.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say to people, like, it's not because sometimes you are somewhere where you think like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open all the time.
Absolutely.
Keep your mind open.
And I think what you're saying there is within that 1 hour, you got more from that that made up the benefit of the whole 2 days.
Yes.
It's like that. Yes. I came here just to get that 1 hour of richness, and now I can actually see how it's going to affect other things that I'm busy doing as well.
But I choose the workshop with my feeling, like, yes, I have to be there. Don't know why, but I have to be there. So I enrolled, and there you go.
And I think you've hit a very good point there. I think that's a very good way for people to assess whether something is right for them right now. Because, there's as well, that there's lots of there's some fantastic psychics and mediums and healers and intuitives out there doing wonderful workshops and courses and stuff, which is great. I feel like we're quite spoiled for choice now, more so than we were when I first sort of started on my spiritual pursuit. Now, while that's a great thing, so much choice can sometimes be overwhelming. So it's so important to allow yourself some time to drop into your heart space and see, A, does this course resonate with me, or this workshop, or this whatever? And B, is it for me right now? Because sometimes we're like, oh no, this is something that I want to do, but is it actually right for me right now? Am I going to benefit? And I think when you start, this is already learning to trust that intuition. When it feels right, you're going to benefit from it. Look, I think most courses are set up in a way that you will gain some sort of educational value from it anyway. But there's just something really wonderful and palpable when you're in alignment with that flow. It's like, actually, this was the right time. I'm ready for it. I'm able to digest the information. Because sometimes I've done it. Sometimes we've gone to courses and it just hasn't been the right time. You've taken that knowledge, but it's taken a couple of months for it to actually click and make sense. You've got to almost go home and do the homework and wait for it to kind of fall into place. It's kind of like, in a way, I was a little bit ahead of myself. The passion was there, but it just wasn't. And then suddenly, like you say, that 1 hour, it clicks, it makes sense. And you're like, there's this awareness expansion, an expansion of awareness that just makes sense. And that makes you feel good, because it's like, yes, I've nailed something here that's been beneficial for me.
Yeah, exactly. I always try to explain that, like, the human side brain says like, I want to do this now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And the spiritual side, the feeling, the gut feeling, the intuition says like, no, hold on a second. But then this human side takes over, overwhelming, and you do
I'm not
it.
gonna, yeah,
And you think like,
exactly.
right, I'm here. Yes, I made that choice. Yes. So what am I doing here?
What's
And
next? Yeah,
you pick up, and as you said, and then a few months later, or even sometimes a year later, suddenly this whole knowledge, because it's knowledge in the brain,
absolutely.
kicks in the spiritual side. And like, all right, now is the right time.
It
Thank
suddenly
you.
dawns on you and makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember having that a couple of experiences when I was really, really young, in my, I think it was in my teens, towards sort of the end of high school. That's when I was really sort of looking into like going to different readers. And I think I learned a valuable lesson because there was a point where I think I got addicted to going to psychic readings because you're like, oh, what's next? What next? And there was somewhat a sense of deflation when the same information was coming up. And it was, the benefit of it was after a couple of months or years to be able to allow time to process that and go through that, and then make the recognition or the conscious awareness that like the reason all this information is repeating is because you're failing to look at the information, you're failing to sort of address where it is. And it's so fascinating how once you acknowledge those certain sort of golden nuggets along your path, other avenues open up, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's I always call it fascinating, pleasant, fascinating. It's the best thing happens in life.
It is.
But Tyrone, I just gonna switch directions a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, I can be naughty sometimes. No, you were in this deep, warm flow of spiritualism and everything. So back to normal now, to the human side.
Okay.
Tyrone, you were born in South Africa. South Africa.
Yes.
I always say people who are born in Africa, South, North, West, East Africa, doesn't matter. They are always a bit closer to nature. They always have a bit more, not that tiny
To
bit
some
more
degree,
connection to
yes.
nature than we
Yes.
have from the West, right?
Right. Okay.
Is that something that you are still carrying with you, even though you don't live there anymore? You live in England now, which they also have stunning nature, but
of course.
you traveled around the world. Is that something that you always take with you? This contact with nature, this thing?
Absolutely. I think for most, when you start to sort of explore more of your spiritual self, you realize your interconnectivity, or you start to feel more connected to something bigger. And even now, living in England, a lot of friends and close colleagues and stuff who are involved in the spiritual field spend a lot of time in nature or try to get out in nature. For me, it's always been a big part. I've loved it. I've grown up in the bush back home. I was quite fortunate in my later years, and one of my aunts, she happened to have a house in one of the nature reserves. So it was such a wonderful place to get away from time to time, and just really submerge yourself in the rawness of nature. I have very, very fond memories there. And I used to often take I used to sketch back then. I'm terrible at drawing now, but I used to take sketchbooks and write a lot of poetry, just sitting in nature and drawing inspiration from like the different animals, your encounters. And because I'm quite symbolic, every time I'd see an animal, I'd look up what the spiritual qualities or the spiritual aspects of that.
Yes, we can do that. Yes,
we can do, looking into sort of, whether it's coming to you in your dreams, but more so I find it quite interesting. Oh, we happen to see some giraffe or some zebra today, but they happen to really walk up quite close, like really making themselves known.
Right.
What could the spirit energy or the qualities of zebra be trying to teach us? It's more sort of, exploring that awareness. And I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Just getting out and being in nature. So To a certain degree, yes, you could say that I still carry that very much with me.
Yeah.
I
Do
think,
you do you because well, there are no giraffes in England in the wild. I mean, we have
yeah,
in the zoos.
in the zoos.
Do you sometimes miss that
I
as
do.
being a South African?
I do. I think any South African who moves abroad into colder weather really misses the weather.
The weather,
Um,
of course, yeah.
no, I do miss it. I miss the weather. I miss being able to have the nature reserves being so close and so sort of readily available. But you know how it is when it's around you, you kind of, there's no rush because you know it's there. It's kind of like when you move to a new country, or if you go on holiday, you try and do a lot of tourist stuff. But when you actually reside in that place, you not always, but very rarely would do the touristy kind of things unless somebody comes to visit.
Exactly.
So you only realize like what you miss once it's further away from you.
Yeah.
But no, I do miss it. If I try and go back to visit family, of course, as and when I can, and certainly try and get some good trips in there. But I think the nature aspect of it has always been something that's intrigued me. And I think just talking about the spirit animals, it's quite interesting how I've found that come into my work during doing readings and stuff like that, when sort of totem animals show up to bring a message or to help unfold a soul aspect of what somebody might be going through. So it's definitely been a nice little nugget that I can put in my spiritual toolbox as I move forward on my own journey.
Yeah. Because people from Africa, they have their own type of spirituality. That's my point of view. They are
Right.
already, for me, they are already by birth closer to spirituality than we are, because they are in this fast nature, right?
Right.
I know, but don't think I'm not realistic. Life is not always easy in Africa for people.
Of course.
I know that. But for me, they always like, when you see this on television in the documentary, never been to Africa, by the way.
Right. You definitely need to go. It'll be worth it.
When that is an invitation, I will take it.
Absolutely. Come on down.
You see people, they have a lot less than we have, as in comfort and products and everything. But they look so happy sometimes. Not that life isn't tough on them.
Of course not, yeah.
They always laugh. And for me, I always think like, oh gosh, they are more spiritual than I am, because they are that way. So when you go back to Africa, visiting families and everything,
Yeah.
but I know, I think you did a teaching there also.
Yes.
Do you automatically, natural, adapt to that vibration?
That's quite an interesting thought. I never really thought of it much like that. I think because it always feels like home for me. You just sort of syncopate to that. I think, well, in general, I mean, I know that in some degrees we're sort of generalizing a little bit here, but there is definitely a bigger, I would say, a heartfelt awareness to sort of nature in South Africa. But then also in saying that, I know many friends in South Africa who hate nature. It's just a normal thing. So I think if we sort of expand that a little bit, sort of wider, it's more so what you resonate with than what you don't. But I think in terms of when you're talking about vibration, going back to teach, it's a different vibe. It's a different atmosphere. It doesn't matter what country you go to. There's a different energy that comes with it. I think it is quite interesting to think of that more so from like a primal energy that sort of comes up in many ways, talking from a spiritual perspective about going deep to connecting with your roots and connecting with yourself, which is something that I resonate quite strongly with. But I think each sort of country has a wonderful nuance of a vibration that whatever work you're doing, you can enjoy the benefits or the fruits of what that particular space or location has to offer, which is quite nice. That's what makes different countries different, and continents as well. So being able to, I mean, I came to visit you in Belgium as well, completely different vibe, different energy, some benefits there as well. So
Yes, we have the beer and the chocolate.
Yes, which is always well received.
So yeah, it's but you said one word that kept sticking here in my mind. Primal vibration. Primal
Right.
vibration, because when I go back home, I feel this primal vibration. And something triggers me with the word primal vibration. Because when you say primal, to me, I feel birth.
Right.
And I know that we all have our name. Now, it can be that a second person is living on Earth with the same name. Perhaps there's a second Tyrone Cusack. We
My
don't know.
doppelganger. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the outside. But we are all unique. We are with 8 billion people, I think, on this planet, but each one individual is unique. And we have this birth vibration.
Of course.
I came across that a few months ago for the first time. We learn every day,
Of course.
Tyrone, during our whole life. This birth vibration, it was the first time I was allowed to feel that from a client. And as soon as you mentioned the word primal, I went straight back to birth vibration.
Right. Okay.
So, and it's a question, it's a hypothetical question. Are we at our best in the country that we are born in?
No, I don't think so, because I think we grow and change and evolve. So you've got to move. Like for myself in particular, because I've traveled so much, I view myself more so as a child of the world. And I think you move into different spaces as you grow and evolve, and different spaces have different things to offer you. It's same for those that immigrate or move overseas or happen to do it quite frequently. Same like a job. You go to a job, you cultivate your skills, you learn what you need to learn. And when you've learned all that you can from that space, or that particular environment has served its purpose and you need to move on, that can happen too. For others, home is home. You can be born in one location and stay in one location, and that's great. That's fantastic. It means that you've got a resonance, a deep connectedness to that space. But I think everybody, like you were saying earlier, everyone's unique, everyone's different. And we've got to sort of just follow that soul's pursuit wherever it happens to lead you. And I think it's quite nice just to clarify on what you're talking about on the energy of the birthing energy or the primal energy. For me, primal, when I talk of having a primal energy or primal feeling, it's always been a place for me that I can go back to my roots and connect with self. There's a simplicity that I quite enjoy about that, especially for me going back home to South Africa. Now, South Africa might not be the country for everybody. It might hold a different resonance for you. This is just my own personal opinion, what we're sharing, but that's sort of that primal presence of sort of going back to basics and simplifying and understanding and cherishing the sweetness of life from the smallest things is something that I quite enjoy. And I think because I've traveled now living in England, even just modern living now, things are so fast paced and so quick moving. So in a way, it's kind of like a self-care for me to be able to go back and connect with that, because you're able to sort of shut off a little bit, just sort of go back to zero. And we all need that at some point in our lives. But that's just quite an interesting take on that.
I always call it the safety of home.
The safety of home, yeah.
But then home can be anywhere.
Home is where you make it. Home is where you make it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Tyrone, you have studied, you have learned, you have grown, you have experienced.
Still growing, still experiencing.
We are still, of course, but you're a teacher now. And perhaps a few of our listeners or viewers don't know you, which would surprise me, but anyway. What do you teach?
So I teach mediumship development, which essentially is connecting with the spirit world, fine-tuning your connection with the spirit world, expanding your own sort of intimate relationship with how spirit communes with you, whether it's for your own personal experiences or for passing on messages for loved ones. Intuitive development, which is very much the same thing. I think things have also changed now, and I realized that because sorry, I'm digressing a little bit here. When I was doing a lot of my learning, I think a lot of people were learning that were with me, were learning for the purposes of, I want to be a psychic, or I'm already doing this and I want to improve. And I think now we've really just had this wonderful, over the last couple of years, this wonderful sort of spiritual expansion where I think people are realizing the importance of being able to hold space for spirit and hold space for their intuition, even if they don't want to pursue this as becoming a reader. Excuse me. But more so from a space like, I'm cultivating this, I'm fine-tuning this skill for me so I can navigate a better life and be sort of more in tune with the experiences that I'm having and knowing which directions to turn, you know.
Yeah.
I have also got a development circle that's actually starting up beginning of next month, which is all about a group of students gathering together where we explore and develop our intuitive and mediumistic abilities. So that's usually
Is that a live group in England?
It will be an online development circle that
Also,
will be
anybody from all over the world
anybody can join. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
there's different development circles and workshops that I sort of try and run throughout the year.
Yeah,
which keeps me on my toes, and I love it.
It is because, you know, when we are, you know, in the true meaning of the word, a student, you know, somebody takes care of us, you know.
Of course.
We have no worries because we know nothing.
And it's true.
But when we start teaching, we have to take responsibility for the people who,
of course,
come to us.
Of course.
Right?
And I think a teacher also, the importance of a teacher is to hold space for not only education, but for people to explore more of their intimate selves. And if it's obviously with workshops and group works, for those to share the relationships and their findings with each other, because, you know, like each course and workshop is different and changes and grows, which is wonderful. I mean, if we just cast our mind back to the many various workshops that we did together with Gordon Smith, each workshop was different. Although the groups somewhat stayed the same, there was a bond that could be formed. There was experiences that could be shared. You know, what worked for you might not have worked for me, but we got to share that with each other and be like, oh, okay, that's so good. I wouldn't have thought of trying to experience it in that way. And this is where there's value in that.
And trust each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's an intimate experience. It's powerful.
It is. Well, for the people who think now like development group, well, I can recommend Tyrone for you guys. Really.
bless you, guy.
But with mediumship, I have to tell this. I have such a funny story about that, you know. And you know, after the course, you know, now and then you start mentioning that you trained as a medium. You're a medium, you know. I'm a medium.
Yes.
All right. You can say that because you have the certificate. I'm a medium. And at a certain point, a lovely lady, she asks me, "Excuse me, what do you do? Energetic therapist?" I said, "Oh well, I'm a healer. You know, I also do shiatsu and, you know, cleaning up of energies and, you know, the whole stuff, you know." And oh, that's interesting, she said. I said, yeah. I said, I also, you know, when it comes up, I also do mediumship. I work as a medium. And suddenly she goes like that. oh, you can talk to the dead people. And I was like,
There we go.
and I looked at her and I saw these eyes, like, and I said, like, yes, darling, I can talk to the dead people
When they come to visit.
when they come to visit. And she was so, I don't know, happy, enthusiastic
Amazing.
about it. Like, I spoke to somebody who can talk to dead people. You see?
Maybe that's exactly what you needed to hear at that time as well, to be able
Yeah.
to share in that. Yeah.
But you know what I learned? Everybody looks at mediumship in their own way.
Yeah.
Because we regard it more as it's the energy,
Yeah.
that we communicate with. It's spirit we
The
communicate
consciousness.
with,
Yeah.
right?
The spirit consciousness. Yeah.
We don't talk with that people. I mean,
We speak with the high vibration, but it's interesting because that's how we term it, or that's how it's been termed
yeah,
and explained,
yeah. So it's always. But the thing is,
Interesting.
if somebody like that comes into your development group or mediumship group, you have to leave her in that, like, yes, darling, I'm going to teach you how to speak with that people.
To fine tune it, or it's more just explaining it in a way of how it will unfold. I think this is also the good thing is in you sort of explaining that you were able to get to the point, but then also excuse me, unfold more for her, and I think that's what teaching is about. It's kind of like, yes, that at the end of the day, I mean, it's the ultimate thing, but we refer to it as spirit consciousness, that essence, the energy vibration that we're communicating with, which is wonderful.
It is, yes. Tyrone, is there something that is somewhere in your head that you are thinking about doing in the future that you have not shared with the world?
There's a couple of things, Guy. I've got my hands in many hats at the moment.
Is there one particular thing which is the closest in the future that you would like to give us the scoop?
It's not really a scoop. I suppose the main things at the moment are sort of just building up some more courses and workshops and being sort of more available.
I have a feeling, excuse me interrupting you, but
no, don't worry.
I have this feeling, and when I'm saying I have a feeling,
I have a feeling
you have something up your sleeve, something completely new.
There's a couple of things that I'm working on at the moment, but it's not the right time to birth into the open, as you would say.
That's the perfect answer.
There's a couple of things on the horizon. It's just allowing the right time for them to grow and flourish into whatever they are meant to be.
Okay.
So I'm quite excited about it. Yeah.
I could see that as soon as I starting this question, I saw your energy,
change.
It was expanding, first
Yeah.
of all with enthusiasm, like, oh, and then it went like, shut up. No. It was so funny to see.
I'm excited about it. I think, at the perfect moment, then I'll be able to sort of birth it, and hopefully it will be well received. And if not, it doesn't matter. But it's just something, like I said, I'm a creative. I need to sort of play with these different things. And this is how we learn and grow and learn more about ourselves,
Yeah.
So hopefully it will be of benefit to a few.
Tyrone, if people want to contact you, how do they do that? Do you have social media? Do you
of course
have a website?
Yes.
Come on. Advertise yourself.
If people wanted to get hold of me, they can either go to Instagram or Facebook and search at connect with me on website. Then it would
hold on. Can you repeat that again? Because the picture froze and we didn't hear you anymore.
Oh, did I cut out there? How funny on when I'm trying to promote.
Yeah, try again.
So on Facebook and Instagram, it's at Tyrone Spirit Messenger. And if they're wanting to go into my website, it's at Tyrone, well, not at, it's tyronespiritmessenger.com or tyronecusack.com.
Okay.
And all
what can
information
people find on your website?
Just more information about myself, about private readings, and about the different spiritual development courses and workshops that I'm busy doing.
Can they enroll or?
Yes, all through enrollment, and there'll be email information there to find out further information on the different courses that we'll be running and what will be coming. There's also an option on my website to join my newsletter, which generally has a lot of information in and some wonderful discount codes and free giveaways on certain things that run throughout the year.
We learn every day. I didn't know you had a newsletter, so excuse me, but I will go on your website now.
You can hop on and join the Spirit Tribe, Guy.
Yeah, well, you never know. We all learn from each other.
Absolutely.
If people are not certain that it's the right thing for them, can they contact you? Can you then?
Absolutely.
Can
absolutely send me an email. There is also a frequently asked questions section on my website, which goes through detailed information on how to choose the right reader for you, what you should expect in a reading. And I firmly believe that it is important for you to be matched up with the right person for you. I think we go through different things, and it's good. Thank you for saying that, Guy. I just want to clarify this. We come across many different teachers, inspirers, and creatives in our life. And it's important for those of the public who haven't maybe necessarily been for private readings before, whether it's psychic or mediumship, is to really trust your intuition and trust your gut on whether that person or that reader feels right for you. And, really feel into the space and know, is this reading something that I need right now? I think sometimes we can also get swept up and we need sort of guidance and advice right now in the moment. And we need to also be open enough to receive that information, especially if it's information that we don't necessarily want to hear, or it's not in line with what we want to hear. And I think it's important because as we sort of grow and change, we'll experience and want to go to different readers, because different readers are unique and offer different things and hold something of value for us at a certain point on our own individual path. So it's important for me to say that, especially as there are more sort of readers available now. And I think for anybody listening here, a very, very good tip of advice is any good intuitive or reader or medium or healer who follows a moral compass and has some sort of ethical value, especially on the social media front, because I've seen this so many times and time again, readers will generally not reach out to you to ask you, come to me for a reading. Especially, and I've just seen this so many times on like Instagram, especially Instagram and on Facebook. Oh, I can feel that your energy is this, you need a reading, this is how much my readings are.
Yes.
Just be careful of this, I mean, if it feels right for you, go ahead and do it. But it's just important for people to be aware of this, because there are many of us out there that are really, we take this work seriously. It's our lifelong work. It's not something where we just do one course and get a certificate and suddenly you're a medium. It's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
So for those that are taking advantage of your generosity or trying to catch you in your moment of despair, to be aware of this, because there are real genuine people out there that actually want to help you and sort of give you the tools to enhance your well-being and your next steps in life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I started this podcast saying I have a wonderful man today here with me. Tyrone, what you said makes me emotional, positive, emotional, because yes, it is. A lot of people at the moment in these times, well, they are getting better, are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And vulnerable people sometimes get desperate. And
Absolutely.
desperate people are prey.
Yeah.
And you didn't use the word, but I'm going to do. There's a lot of charlatans outside there.
There are a lot of charlatans, yes. I deviated from using that, but that's, you can certainly drop that in.
I'm from Belgium. I just spit it out.
It is what it is.
And it's a point. And for me, it's a very sensitive point. I mean, if I see my primary business, my primary spiritual part is not mediumship, it's healing, right?
Yeah.
Energetic healing. And I see a lot of people who are on the verge of desperation, and we need to treat them very carefully
with the respect that they need. Yeah.
And from their own position and their own willingness.
Yeah.
And as you said, I see them too on social media, like, oh, I'm Dr. Zulu Bulu or something, and I gonna,
or whoever it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he exists, Zulu Bulu. If he is, I don't know if he's gonna hear this. But yeah, it is. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
No, I think
so much,
I think it's just it's so important for people to know that, because there's, I mean, there's so many of us that have been working so hard behind the scenes to try and not only build up a reputation, but also honor spirit in the most authentic way, to sort of bring about the change and help give, like I said, help give you the tools to make the necessary changes in your life. So in honor of that, it's important for people to just be aware that, unfortunately, like all different lines of work, there are always people that will try and take advantage of you. And it's important to know what the signs look like. Research your people. Do they have a website? Do they have contact information? These kind of things are important to know. Like, have they worked with other people? Do they, I mean, also, I completely understand it's also difficult when you're sort of starting out and building up your thing, but word of mouth will spread. But it's more so for those that get swept up in the moment and see these things that come in. And because obviously social media is such a great way for us to communicate and interact with each other, it's important,
I use it too,
to know, really feel into yourself. Is this the right person for me? And I'm not just saying that for my own benefit as well. It's just for more sort of general awareness to what is in line and what is in resonance with you,
Exactly, Tyrone. What you said out of the beauty of your heart is spot on. A true reader, healer, medium, tarot, whatever, he will never, or she, because we have more she's than he.
Of course. And they are just as good, if not better than us.
No, they are better. She is better than he, believe me. We will never, ever ask to come to us. The only thing we do is we put ourselves in the world, and we can use social media and websites for that, because otherwise nobody knows
ourselves,
you. The only thing we do is we put ourselves in the world, we open our arms and say, like,
we are present, we are available.
You're present and you're welcome. But we will never say, oi, why didn't you come to me? I'm going to help you.
Yeah. And here's my fee.
That.
Yeah.
Now, for our listeners and viewers, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm very happy today that I did this podcast with you, Tyrone.
I'm very thrilled that I was invited, and I'm so grateful for you just sharing some time with me and sharing my story with your viewers and your listeners.
And as we said before we did the podcast, we see each other once a year, but we always pick up where we ended, isn't it?
Pick up where we left off, just like it was yesterday. Yes, absolutely.
So for the people who have a feeling like, well, I believe this guy and I'm gonna contact him, please do. If you feel that Tyrone is the right guy for you, to, I don't know, to help you, to guide you, to teach you, to make you more aware about yourself and your spirituality, please do. You can see his website in the video at the moment, so please do. Tyrone, let me thank you very, very much. And
yes, thank you.
I hope the next time we see each other is in a live version.
I know.
Because I'm gonna hug you.
In real life, of course. It's been way too long. And thank you so much again for just taking the time to have me in your wonderful podcast, and for the work that you're busy doing, holding space to interview all these amazing people and sort of be inspired by spirit to let the conversation unfold and share insights with everybody. I think you're so special and such a great light in the world. So there's some wonderful things to unfold for you, that I'm sure of.
Thank you very much, Tyrone.
Bless you, God. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.